कृपा अंजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु देखत नाही। कृपा अंजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु देखत नाही। कृपा अंदर राम बाहर रामा, अंदर राम बाहर रामा, जहाँ देखो सो राम ही राम, जहाँ देखो सो राम ही राम, जहाँ देखो सो राम ही राम। कृपा अंजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु देखत नाही। कृपा जागत राम सोवत रामा, जागत राम सोवत रामा, सपनों में देखो राजाधिराम, सपनों में देखो राजाधिराम, सपनों में देखो राजाधिराम। कृपा अंजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु देखत नाही। कृपा एका जनार्दनी भावहीनी का, एका जनार्दनी भावहीनी का, जो देखो सो राम सरीका, 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 जो देखो सो राम सरीका। कृपा अंजन पायो मेरे भाई, राम बिना कछु देखत नाही। कृपा
सहनौ भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutah Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangapadakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam na vidusura suraganaha Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. Humble prostrations to one and all. In the last class, we were discussing the beautiful prayer of Arjuna, where he says, Bhagavan, it is but natural that people find great delight in chanting your name and in singing your glories. The mind becomes free from all negativities and disturbances, and it becomes filled with peace. The heart becomes filled with devotion when we sing your glories. Bhagavan, therefore, it is but natural that when we sing your glories, the mind becomes peaceful, because you are none other than the Lord of the universe. Bhagavan, please forgive all my transgressions, my misbehavior towards you. Umpteen number of times we were together, and I considered you as an ordinary human being and treated you like my friend, not knowing your real glory. I addressed you by calling your name, Krishna, Yadava, etc. Very many times I had disrespected you, ridiculed you, made fun of you, and I might have behaved in a harsh, impolite way also. I was so casual in approach towards you, not realizing that you are the Heavenly Father, the greatest Guru, the Guru of all Gurus. So Bhagavan, please forgive me. Like a father, compassionate father, forgiving his immature son, a friend forgiving his dearmost friend, or a husband forgiving his beloved wife. Bhagavan, I prostrate unto you again and again, thousands of times, from all directions, falling flat at your holy feet. Bhagavan, you alone deserve all prostrations. So up to this much we have seen. Up to verse number 44 we have seen. Now Arjuna comes up with a request. What is the request? Verse number 45. Adrishtapurvam hrushitosmi drishtva bhayena cha pravyathitam mano me tadeva me darshaya devarupam prasida devesha jagannivasa. Adrishtapurvam hrushitosmi drishtva bhayena cha pravyathitam mano me tadeva me darshaya devarupam prasida devesha jagannivasa. Bhagavan, Drishtva, having seen what? Adrishtapurvam, that which was never seen before. What is that? This Vishvarūpa-darshanam. So Arjuna was seeing this Vishvarūpa-darshanam for the first time, hence he calls this vision Adrishtapurvam. Purvam Adrishtam, earlier unseen. So after seeing this, what has happened to him? So Arjuna says, Hrishitaha asmi. Bhagavan, I am thrilled, I am happy, I am delighted, I am joyful. But Bhagavan, at the same time, there is another strong emotion in my heart. And what is that? Manaha bhayena pravyathitam. Me manaha, my mind, bhayena, out of fear, pravyathitam, it is terribly afflicted, agitated, disturbed. Bhagavan, my mind is extremely disturbed because of fear. So on one side there is a joy of watching Vishvarūpa-darshanam, and on the other side there is also a fear of seeing this darshanam. So what is Arjuna's request? Arjuna says, O Deva, O Lord, tad rupam eva me darshaya. Show me that form only. Bhagavan, please take away this Vishvarūpa-darshanam and give me the earlier darshan. Bhagavan, show me your previous form, the original form. I no more want this Vishvarūpa-darshanam. Devesha, he Jagannivasa, prasida. O Lord of Lords, O support of the whole universe, prasida. Please be gracious unto me. Show mercy on me. So Arjuna is saying, Bhagavan, I am really thankful to you for having shown me this Vishvarūpa-darshanam, this rarest of vision. I am indeed thrilled to see it, but Bhagavan, this vision is also creating a lot of fear in me. In fact, the fear is so much that I fear that I may fall down unconscious. This fear is much more than the joy of watching it. So Bhagavan, please take away this vision from me, as I have lost all peace of mind due to this vision. I want only Krishna darshanam and not Vishvarūpa-darshanam. So Bhagavan, this is my humble request. So here Arjuna says, there is joy and also there is fear, seeing Vishvarūpa-darshanam. Now how is it possible, having joy and fear at the same time? So first we have to analyze why there is joy in seeing Vishvarūpa-darshanam. There is joy in seeing this vision because we see the whole world as a manifestation of the Lord. We realize that there is none other than the Lord in the whole universe. We experience that the Lord alone has become everything in this world. In fact, we realize that the essence in us also is none other than Bhagavan alone. And what is the nature of this Lord? He is Satchit Ananda Swarupa. So Bhagavan is Ananda Swarupa. So his experience as Vishvarūpa-darshanam must also give us Ananda alone. So therefore Arjuna says, Hrishitaha asmi. Bhagavan, it fills my heart with joy, seeing this Vishvarūpa-darshanam. Now a question comes, if Vishvarūpa-darshanam is Ananda, why is Arjuna asking Bhagavan to take away this vision from him. He says, Bhagwan, enough, I don't want this. If Vishvarūpa-darshanam is of the nature of Ananda, nobody can dislike Vishvarūpa-darshanam. In fact, Arjuna should have prayed, Bhagwan, please extend this Vishvarūpa-darshanam for some more time. I am not satisfied seeing this. I want this vision to remain with me as long as possible, for a longer period of time. This should have been the prayer of Arjuna if he was experiencing Ananda. But what is Arjuna saying here? Arjuna says, Bhagwan, enough, take away this vision from me, because I am greatly agitated with fear. I have lost all peace of mind. Bhayena pravyathitam mano me. So this means the fear due to Vishvarūpa-darshanam was much more compared to the joy due to Vishvarūpa-darshanam. The fear was more than the joy. Now a question comes, Vishvarūpa-darshanam, does it bring fear or does it bring joy? So the answer to this question is, it depends. If Vishvarūpa-darshanam is gained through our own effort, through our own sadhana, if Vishvarūpa-darshanam is gained by our own merit, then it can give us only Ananda. But if Vishvarūpa-darshanam is gained without any such qualification, it can lead only to fear and misery. So the question is, how did we gain this Vishvarūpa-darshanam? Did we gain it with our effort, or was it given to us by somebody and we had no qualification in seeing this? Now Arjuna's case was, he did not have the qualification to see this darshanam. He gained this vision not because of his self-effort, but because of yogic power of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Arjuna asked for Vishvarūpa-darshanam, so Bhagavan, out of friendly love for him, gave it to him. Bhagavan is Yogeshwara. He can give any experience to us with his yogic power. He can make us experience any spiritual state, irrespective of our qualification. That power Bhagavan has. Now, Bhagavan can give us the experience, but if we don't have the qualification to experience it, then that experience can give us only fear and misery. Just like a student who is not qualified for engineering, if through money we give him an engineering seat, fine, he will be in the engineering college, but the engineering study will give him only misery, because he is not qualified to study that. So the law of life is, anything which we don't deserve, when we possess it, it can only bring misery to us. Anything which we don't deserve can only bring misery to us. And this is what is happening in Arjuna. Now a question comes, what is the qualification for Vishvarūpa-darshanam? The qualification is a pure mind, a mind which is free from ragadvesha, kamakrodha, ahankara, mamakara, a mind which is free from likes and dislikes, I-ness and mine-ness. In such a pure mind, we experience Vishvarūpa-darshanam without fear. So fear comes because of the impurities of the mind. As it was mentioned earlier in this chapter, the Siddha Sanghas, the Maharshis, the enlightened ones, they had pure mind, so they did not have any fear while seeing this Vishvarūpa-darshanam. They were only singing the glories of the Lord, while all others were trembling in fear, seeing Kala Bhagavan. So this means in a pure mind, we can have Vishvarūpa-darshanam without any fear. Hence we conclude that because purity was lacking, Arjuna was having more fear than joy. Now, there are very many situations where joy and fear, they exist together. Harsha and bhaya exist simultaneously. There are very many situations. For example, in all adventure sports like skydiving, bungee jumping, paragliding and roller coaster rides, etc., we find this combination of bhaya and harsha. For example, in skydiving, there is a joy of flying on one side, but there is also a fear of falling on the other side. We find people playing such sports, shouting with joy on one side and at the same time screaming with fear. In fact, most of the people, especially the beginners during skydiving, when they are in the sky, floating in the sky, their constant prayer is, "Oh Lord, please save me. Put an end to this flying experience as early as possible. Please land me safely on the ground. I am not able to withstand this fear, anxiety. Bhagavan, I will offer 1,000 rupees in the nearby Ganesha temple. Please take me down safely and securely." You see, this is the kind of prayer which the beginners, they have. Now the question is, where did this fear come from? Why are they scared? If we analyze, say in this skydiving example, all the fears are self-created. We imagine all kinds of mishaps. What if a storm comes? What if I become unconscious? What if while landing I get stuck on some tree? Or if I land up in a jungle? What if there is some technical error and the whole flying mechanism fails? What if this happens? What if that happens? Now all these imagination in the wrong direction create fear in us. So in short, it is the negative thinking which creates all fear in us. So we can conclude that fear comes from an impure mind which is filled with lack of trust or faith in the system, an impure mind which entertains all kinds of negative thoughts regarding failures and mishaps. So such an impure mind is the culprit. It is the one which creates all fears in us. The same thing happens in spirituality also. There are times when at the seat of meditation we experience a spiritual high. The mind is extremely peaceful and we experience a state of divinity within us. And when we are experiencing this peace, suddenly a random stray thought appears. What if something happens to me? What if I exit this world in samadhi? What if I lose my body consciousness? Again, what if this happens? What if that happens? And with this fear, we fall from that blissful state. So who is the culprit here? Who makes us fall from our blissful divine state? It is our own impure mind. Vishvarūpa-darshanam is the highest possible spiritual experience where we see divinity everywhere. But when the mind is impure, it starts entertaining worrying thoughts, fearful thoughts, negative thoughts, and creates misplaced fear in us. So hence the bottom line is, unless we have purified the mind, we will not be able to enjoy Vishvarūpa-darshanam. Even if someone, he may be Bhagavan himself, even if Bhagavan through his yogic power gives us Vishvarūpa-darshanam, we are not going to get benefited from it, we are not going to enjoy it. In fact, it will only create a greater misery for us. Why? Because this darshanam we don't deserve, we are not qualified for it. Hence the misery, hence the fear. Now, there is another reason why Arjuna is filled with fear. See, there are so many things in life the Lord has deliberately hidden from us. Why has He hidden it from us? Because He knows that we will not be able to handle it. So there are so many things which Bhagavan has hidden from us. What are those things? Let us take some examples. For example, functioning of the organs inside the body. The organs like liver, kidney, heart, lungs, intestines, etc. The Lord has purposefully kept it hidden from our vision. Now just imagine if we were to see the functioning of these organs, many of us would spend the whole day staring at it and constantly worrying about these organs. Yes or no? Our worrying will be, my God, I have only one heart, only one liver. What will happen if something happens to these organs? Where will I go for replacement? I don't have a spare part. What will I do if something happens to it? Where will I go? So Bhagavan knew that we will be constantly worrying, thinking about them. So what did He do? He kept it hidden from our sight, isn't it? Through a beautiful skin, everything is packed inside so that we will not be able to see what is happening inside. It is a great blessing that we don't know what is happening inside our body. This is one example. Another example, events in our past lives are kept hidden from us. Why did Bhagavan do so? He did so because there may be very many disturbing events, immoral events, very many mistakes and blunders committed by us, which might create so much of guilt feeling in us that we may not be able even to sleep thinking about them. So it is a great blessing that we are not able to remember our past lives. This is another example. Again, our senses are made limited. We can't see beyond a particular range. We can't hear beyond a particular range. These abilities of our sense organs are deliberately made limited because otherwise the brain will be loaded with excessive information, unwanted information, useless information. The brain may even get fused out and become mad. A recent research shows that psychological cases and mental diseases are increasing all over the world. And the main cause is excessive use of internet and social media. So the reality is modern technology is driving us mad and sick. In the same way, our memory is blessed with the ability to forget all unwanted, useless information. See the compassion of the omniscient Lord. Again, there is a mechanism in the human body. Whenever a shattering event happens, we become unconscious. For example, when a person meets with a terrible accident, the first thing that happens is he becomes unconscious. This is because we human beings don't have the ability to endure intense psychological or physical pain. So there is an automatic cut-off mechanism in us which protects us from all such excessive physical and emotional pains. Even emotional shocks can make us unconscious. So this again is a great blessing from the Lord. Another great blessing is we are not given access to our future. Because if we are given the ability to know our future, very many of us will be worried and anxious, dejected and depressed. So Bhagavan, out of compassion, has kept the future hidden from us. Another great blessing is that we are not able to see what is happening in the minds of others. If this ability is given to us, then our love and respect for everyone will disappear in a moment's notice. So again, Bhagavan has protected us, but by not allowing anyone to see what is happening in our mind and not allowing us to see what is happening in others' minds. Ignorance is indeed bliss in this regard. So, in many ways, Lord has protected all of us. We must thank God that Trikala Drishti and Atindriya Drishti and Paraloka Drishti etc. are not given to us. See the condition of Arjuna. He was given full freedom by the Lord, allowing him to access anything and everything. And Arjuna made use of his Divya Drishti to peep into the future. But what happened to him? He started trembling when he saw his near and dear ones entering into the jaws of death, jaws of Kala Bhagavan. He lost all his peace and courage and was on the verge of collapse. So the point is, there are things which the Lord out of His infinite compassion has hidden from us. So it is better for us not to know it. Arjuna did this mistake and had to pay a heavy price. Now Arjuna is scared, he is full of fear and he says, Bhagavan, enough. I had enough of this Vishvarūpa-darshana. Now please take away this Divya Drishti from me. I am not able to handle it. I have lost all my peace and balance of mind. I want you to come back to your normal state so that I will come back to my normal state. So Bhagavan, I don't want Vishvarūpa-darshanam. I want only normal darshanam. This is the prayer of Arjuna. So Arjuna is pleading Bhagavan to take away this Vishvarūpa-darshanam. What is the darshanam he wants now? Next verse, verse number 46. Kiritinam gadinam chakrahastam Ichhami tvam drashtumaham tathaiva Tenaiva rupena chaturbhujena Sahasrabaho bhava vishvamurte Kiritinam gadinam chakrahastam Ichhami tvam drashtumaham tathaiva Tenaiva rupena chaturbhujena Sahasrabaho bhava Vishvamurte. Arjuna says, Drashtum ichhami. Bhagavan, I want to see. In what way? Aham tvam tatha eva drashtum ichhami. I want to see you like that only, in that form only. In which form? Kiritinam, with kirita, with crown, gadinam, with gada, with mace, chakrahastam, with sudarshana chakra in your hand. Ataha, therefore, He Vishvamurte, O Lord who has taken the form of the world, He Sahasrabaho, O Lord who has thousands of hands, Tena eva chaturbhuja rupena bhava. May you take that form with just 4 arms. Chaturbhuja form with 4 arms. So Bhagavan, I don't want your Sahasrabahu form, I want only your Chaturbahu form. Not thousands of hands, but only 4 hands. I don't want your Vishwamurti form, I want only your Krishnamurti form. So this is a request of Arjuna. Arjuna is saying, Bhagavan, come in that form which I love and revere the most. Bhagavan, I want you to come in that form which I love and revere the most, because that is my Ishta-devatā form. The chaturbhuja form, I love it because that is my Ishta-devatā form, which I constantly meditate upon. That form which is ever smiling, ever loving, ever forgiving, and compassionate towards his devotees, and ever ready to bless the devotees. That form, Bhagavan, I want. Now a question may come, why is Arjuna not asking Bhagavan to come in the ordinary human form with only 2 hands? In fact, this was the form before Vishvarūpa-darshana. Bhagavan had only 2 hands. Now here Arjuna is asking Bhagavan come in that form with 4 hands. So maybe, we can only make a guess, maybe Arjuna feels that he might forget that Krishna is none other than the Lord of the universe if he comes in 2-hand form. He might again consider Krishna as an ordinary human being, and again he may call him as Krishna, Yadava, Sakha, etc. Such a mistake is possible. So if Bhagavan comes in Chaturbhuja form, then that form will remind him that Krishna is Bhagavan himself. So to avoid slipping back to forgetfulness, to avoid making the mistakes which he had done earlier, just to make him alert and aware that this Krishna is not an ordinary human being, he is none other than the Lord of the universe. Just for that purpose, maybe he is asking Bhagavan to come in Chaturbhuja form. But does Bhagavan come in Chaturbhuja form? In the later verses, we come to know that Bhagavan comes in an ordinary human being form. Especially in verse 51, we see that Bhagavan doesn't come in Chaturbhuja form, he comes in Dvibhuja form only. He appears as an ordinary human being. So Bhagavan is very compassionate. He appears in normal human form because Bhagavan is doing Naralila here. So he would prefer to keep himself in disguise. He prefers to keep Sakhya Bhava with Arjuna. He prefers to have a friendly relationship with Arjuna. Bhagavan doesn't want his friend Arjuna to be always in a fearful state. then that friendly relationship with Arjuna becomes impossible. In fact, Bhagavan makes Arjuna forget this Vishvarūpa-darshana experience. Just like Bhagavan made Yashoda Mata to forget her experience. You all must be remembering that episode. Baby Krishna eats mud. Yashoda catches him red-handed and asks him to open the mouth, and when Krishna opens the mouth, she finds the entire cosmos inside his mouth. She faints and collapses seeing this. But later, Yashoda is made to forget this experience because otherwise, Bala Leela of Bhagavan becomes impossible. Yashoda will then stand near Krishna shivering in fear, and the entire Bala Leela will be spoiled. She will not be able to love Krishna as her child. She will see him as the Lord of the universe and stand near him with all respect and reverence. Then what happens to Bala Leela? That Bala Leela of the Lord will be disrupted. So Bhagavan makes her forget this experience. The same thing is happening here also. Bhagavan makes Yashoda feel as though the whole thing had happened in a dream. The same thing happens here also. Bhagavan makes Arjuna forget this Vishvarūpa-darshanam experience. Otherwise, Arjuna will never be able to treat Krishna as his friend, and he also would then always be at the feet of Bhagavan, bhita bhitaha and vepamanaha, etc., full of fear, trembling with fear. So Bhagavan makes Arjuna forget this scary experience. That is why in the later chapters, like 17th chapter, etc., Arjuna is seen addressing Bhagavan as Krishna only. You see that. In 11th chapter, Arjuna is seeking forgiveness for calling Bhagavan as Krishna, but in 17th chapter we find Arjuna is addressing Bhagavan as Krishna only. That means Bhagavan has deliberately made Arjuna forget this scary experience. The shock which he had received in the 11th chapter faded away by the time it had reached 17th chapter. It becomes impossible for Bhagavan to play his Leela if Arjuna always remembers that this Krishna is none other than the Lord of the universe, etc. Now there is a subjective lesson which is related to this. Subjectively also we have a similar experience. At the seat of meditation we experience inexplicable bliss and peace and a nearness with the Lord. But when we get up from our meditation and enter into the world, this bliss which we had experienced at the seat of meditation, we find that this bliss also goes away. Because if all the time we remain in bliss, then we will not be able to perform our duties and responsibilities. Hence, that bliss is taken away by the Lord, withdrawn by the Lord. Something similar happens to Arjuna also. So even though Arjuna asks for chaturbhuja form, Bhagavan comes in human form only. Otherwise Arjuna will be remembering this Vishvarūpa-darshanam and he will sit trembling with reverence, unable to even fight the war. So to avoid all these casualties, Bhagavan comes in Manusham Rupam in human form. This we find in the 51st verse, which we will discuss later. So here Arjuna is requesting Bhagavan to come in chaturbhuja form. What does Bhagavan say? Let us see verse number 47. Shri Bhagavanuvāca Maya prasannena tavarjunedam Rupam param darshitamatmayogat Tejomayam vishwamanantamadyam यन्मे त्वदन्येन न दृष्टपूर्वम् मया प्रसन्नेन तवार्जुनेदम् रूपं परं दर्शितमात्मयोगात् तेजोमयं विश्वमनन्तमाद्यं यन्मे त्वदन्येन न दृष्टपूर्वम्. Hey Arjuna, Bhagavan says, Arjuna, prasannena, being pleased with you, me rupam tava darshitam, I have shown my Vishvarūpa form to you. How did Bhagavan show Arjuna his form? Atma Yogat, by Bhagavan's yogic power, the power of Maya. So by the power of Bhagavan, he showed his form to Arjuna. Which form? Param, supreme, Tejomayam, effulgent, brilliant, Adyam, primeval, the form which is the cause of the entire universe, Anantam, that form which is infinite, Vishvarūpam, that universal form where Bhagavan is seen as Vishwam itself. Yet this form, Tvat Anyena, other than you, na drishtapurvam, no one has seen it before. So Arjuna, this supreme, effulgent, primeval, infinite, universal form, nobody has seen before you. So Arjuna gained this vision due to the yogic power of the Lord, and Bhagavan says, out of love for him, he has shown this to Arjuna. And Bhagavan says, Arjuna, you are the first one to see it. So Bhagavan says, Arjuna, this is a very, very rare vision. Why is it a rare vision? Verse number 48. न वेदयज्ञाध्ययनैर्न दानैः न च क्रियाभिर्न तपोभिरुग्रैः एवं रूपः शक्य अहं नृलोके द्रष्टुं त्वदन्येन कुरु प्रवीर. न वेदयज्ञाध्ययनैर्न दानैः न च क्रियाभिर्न तपोभिरुग्रैः एवं रूपः शक्य अहं नृलोके द्रष्टुं त्वदन्येन कुरु प्रवीर. हे कुरु प्रवीर, O heroic one in the Kuru dynasty, O Arjuna, evam rupaha aham na drashtum shakyah, I cannot be seen in this form by anyone. Where? Nriloke, in this human world. In this human world, Naraloka, I cannot be seen in this form by anyone. Tvad anyena, other than you. So except you, nobody has seen me in this form, ever. Even if they do all kinds of sadhanas, what all sadhanas? Veda yajna adhyanaihi, by the study of the Vedas and the performance of Yajna, Havana, Homa, etc. Danehi, by charity. Kriyabhihi, by any other kind of punya karma. Nacha ugrehi tapobhihi, not even by fierce austerities. Whatever type of sadhana a person does, he will not be able to see this form which you have seen, Arjuna. So Bhagavan says, Arjuna, you are the first one to have this Vishvarūpa-darshana vision. By my power of Yoga Maya, I made you see it. Because of my love for you, I made you see it. Otherwise, in human world, it is impossible to gain this vision. How much ever yajna, dana, tapas, punya karma, etc. a person may do, he will not be able to gain this vision. But Bhagavan himself is going to tell how to gain this vision. That comes as the last verse. What is the qualification to gain this vision? Bhagavan himself is going to reveal it. So here maybe what Bhagavan is mentioning is, Arjuna, you are the first one to see this vision without qualification. Maybe that is what Bhagavan is trying to hint. Just out of my love for you, I made you see it. So what is that qualification necessary? That Bhagavan himself is going to reveal. Now Bhagavan consoles Arjuna, gives him solace and removes all his fears and worries. So this is the content of the next verse, verse number 49. Ma te vyatha ma cha vimudha bhavaha drishtva rupam ghoramidrigmamedam vyapeta प्रीतमनः पुनस्त्वं तदेव मे रूपमिदं प्रपश्य मा ते व्यथा मा च विमूढभावः दृष्ट्वा रूपं घोरमीदृग्ममेदं व्यपेतभिः प्रीतमनः पुनस्त्वं तदेव मे रूपमिदं प्रपश्य. Bhagavan says, Ma vyatha, Arjuna, don't grieve, don't be sad, don't be sorrowful. Ma vimudha bhavaha, don't get deluded also. Mama idruk ghoram rupam drishtva, by seeing this terrible form of mine. Don't get deluded. Don't enter into dejection. Arjuna, punaha, once again, vyapeta bhihi, be free from fear. Pritamana bhava, may you be peaceful and cheerful. Come back to your normal state. Don't remain in this state of fear. But Bhagavan, this form is terrible. Arjuna, as per your request, I am ready to show that form. Me idam rupam prapashya. Now see this form of mine. Which form? Tadeva, that form which you have asked. That form, that earlier form, the ordinary form. So here we see Bhagavan consoling Arjuna, comforting him. There are times when Bhagavan would scare even his best devotees. Such things we find in all our scriptures and in our life also we find. There are times when Bhagavan would scare his devotees. Why? To make them humble. Arjuna had this arrogance that he was the greatest archer in the world and that he was the one who would win the war for Pandavas. And he had this pride that without him nothing would happen. Often we ourselves don't know how our ego creeps in and and we give so much of self-importance to ourselves. Without me, who will look after my family, my factory, my organization, my company? I am the one who is doing everything. I am the only one who knows everything. It is because of me that things are happening. I am indeed irreplaceable. These kinds of foolish thoughts enter into our minds. We forget that it is the Lord alone who is looking after us. So sometimes such a heat treatment is necessary to puncture our ego. And such a heat treatment is given to Arjuna here. So this is a Leela of Bhagavan. He proves to us that we are nobody in the world. He crushes our ego. See the way Bhagavan treated Arjuna. Ritepi tvam na bhavishyanti sarve. Arjuna, even without you, all these warriors in the Kaurava forces will not exist. I don't want you to finish them. This is what Bhagavan said. He tells Arjuna that even without you, I am going to kill them. The Lord shows Arjuna how insignificant he was in the cosmos. Arjuna trembles in fear seeing the omniscience, omnipotence and omnipresence of the Lord. Arjuna's ego was completely pulverized and powdered. But the greatness of the Lord is, He crushes our ego silently, secretly. He keeps our dignity in the society intact. Now, this is Bhagavan's greatness. Now, here we see the whole Vishvarūpa-darshana episode happened without anyone knowing it. So, Arjuna's ego was punctured without the knowledge of the Kaurava forces or the Pandava forces. No one knew what was happening to Arjuna. This is the greatness of the Lord. He crushes our ego silently without anybody's knowledge. He makes us humble. And then what does he do? Once Arjuna's ego is crushed, Bhagavan himself raises him in the eyes of the world. That's what we find after the war. After the war, in the eyes of the world, Arjuna became the hero of the war, the man of the match. But Arjuna knew that he was a mere instrument in the hands of the Lord. He knew the reality that Bhagavan was the one who did everything through him. So even though the world was praising him, showering all kinds of praises unto him, even when the world was praising him, Arjuna remained humble as ever. So this is the way of the Lord. In the beginning, he becomes very strict disciplinarian, and after that, he starts showering his love and affection. Thus, together with strictness and discipline on one side, love and affection on the other side, he helps us evolve. First, he becomes a strict father, then he becomes a loving mother. So now in this verse, we find Lord is mothering Arjuna. Both are necessary. Fathering and mothering, both are necessary. Only pampering the child will spoil the child. Like a mother, if you only pamper the child will be spoiled. Or like a father, only strictness, that will spoil the relationship. So we must have an intelligent mix of both tenderness and strictness. This is the way a guru must deal with his shishya, and this is the way fathers and mothers, the parents, should deal with the children. See, we must learn these lessons of parenting from Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the ultimate father, he is the greatest guru. So we find how beautifully He is fathering Arjuna, mothering Arjuna, teaching Arjuna. See the greatness of Bhagavan. He is a perfect father, perfect mother, and perfect guru. So what is Bhagavan saying? Arjuna, don't grieve, don't grieve. Ma vyatha, ma vimudha bhavaha. Don't get deluded. I am not cruel. I am a loving God only. Don't worry. I will give you whatever you desire. May you attain peace. Pritamanaha bhava. May you be free from fear. And now Bhagavan shows his previous form to Arjuna and thus consoles him. That happens in verse number 50. We will see it in the next class. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kasyid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om